As the story begins, we're shown a dense jungle where Catherine and Francois are running in terror, as if something is chasing them. From their condition, it's clear they've been running for a long time and are completely exhausted. Because of the fatigue, Francois drops his sword, and Catherine also abandons her bag and keeps running. That bag was actually filled with gold coins. A little further ahead, Francois spots a stone standing alone in an open field, and both of them rush toward it. But before they can reach it, something suddenly lunges at Francois from behind and kills him instantly. Seeing this, Catherine panics and runs toward the stone to save her life. But she doesn't make it either. A monstrous tongue shoots out, drags her back, and kills her too. The scene ends as the camera zooms in on that mysterious stone. The scene then shifts to a truck, where we see four friends, Sophie, David, Jenny, and Ben, who have come to visit a village on the island. After a while, the truck driver drops them off at that very same village where the stone is located. The driver tells them he can't go any further and gives them directions before leaving. This seems a bit strange to the group. Why wouldn't the driver go past those stones? But they brush it off and don't think much of it. However, Sophie, who has a strong understanding of history, tries to interpret the markings carved on the stone. After that, they continue on their way. Next, we're shown more of the village, where they meet a man named Hamis. He tells them that not far from the village, there's an ancient site that isn't even listed in any tourist guide. Hearing this, Sophie becomes interested in visiting the place. Hamis agrees, but explains that it will take about 7 hours to reach since no vehicles can go there. So instead, he offers to rent them a cabin nearby, where they can spend the night and start their journey early the next morning. He then calls his son Sen, and the group rides with him to the cabin. When they arrive, they hear a rustling sound coming from the grass nearby. Hamis immediately fires his gun in that direction. Startled, the group asks what that was, and Hamis casually tells them not to worry. It's common for wild boars to roam around here, and he can handle them easily. After that, he shows them the cabin and leaves with his son. But before leaving, he hangs a gold watch outside the cabin. Why he did that? We'll find out later. The scene then transitions to nighttime, where all four friends are fast asleep. But then Jenny suddenly starts hearing strange noises coming from outside the cabin. So, like every typical horror movie hero, she decides to peek out the window. But just then, something terrifying passes right in front of her eyes, and it completely freaks her out. Panicked, she shouts and wakes up all her friends. Calling them over, she insists, "I saw something outside. There was definitely someone there." Hearing this, David starts making fun of her, saying, "We're in a creepy jungle. You're probably just hallucinating." But Jenny stands firm on what she saw. Then David says, "All right, if you're really sure, I'll open the cabin door and check outside." But as soon as he tries to open the door, it doesn't budge. That's when they realize Hamish has locked them inside the cabin from the outside. Now furious, they all start trying every door and window to escape. But nothing works. Meanwhile, a terrified Jenny sits next to Jamie. Suddenly, a hand shoots out from inside the chimney and yanks off her earring. Her ear gets badly torn, and blood starts pouring out. Seeing her condition, everyone is horrified. Moments later, that same creature crawls out of the chimney. To save themselves, they all rush into a room and lock themselves inside while the creature outside starts banging on the door with full force. In a desperate move, they let that thing get distracted and manage to escape through the chimney. But David, who is last, gets his leg badly injured by the creature. The four of them then run toward another cabin nearby, trying to save their lives, while the monster breaks through the chimney and starts chasing them again. Seeing this, they run even faster, but because of his injured leg, David begins to fall behind. Just then, Jenny throws a lantern at the Jeep, and the fire pushes the monster back. That's when they realize the creature is afraid of fire. Taking advantage of this, all of them manage to reach another nearby cabin together. Once there, Ben tries to break the door open, but instead of the door breaking, a key placed above falls down. Using that key, he unlocks the door and goes inside with the others. Inside the cabin, they find a lot of belongings. Seeing this, Sophie realizes that all this stuff belongs to tourists, just like them, which means Hamish has been bringing tourists here, only to get them killed by that monster. But why is he doing this? That mystery will unfold later. Among the things, they also find a book, and inside it are the same strange symbols they had seen earlier on the stone outside the village. Now Sophie reads from the book and tells the others that a leprechaun is after them. It used to live in a cave, but the villagers started using that cave as a gold mine and began extracting gold from it. Their greed kept growing, and because of that, the leprechaun came out of the cave. Since the villagers had taken its gold, instead of killing them all, it made a deal with them. They would offer it sacrifices every year. David then realizes that Hamish lured them here to be sacrificed. But Sophie adds one more important detail. The leprechaun can only move within a fixed boundary. They all understand that the stone they saw marks its limit, meaning it cannot cross beyond that point. That's why the truck driver had refused to go past that stone. On the other side, Hamish, his son Sean, and his friend Ian head to their old cabin, thinking everyone must be dead by now. But they don't find any bodies, which makes them realize that the 4 tourists are still alive. Sean seems visibly upset. He never wanted innocent people to die. But his father, on the other hand, is truly a cruel man. After that, they set out to find them. Soon they notice the cabin lights are on and realize the group is inside. Using a key, they unlock the cabin door and enter. However, the 4 tourists already know Hamish is inside, so they grab whatever weapons they can find to defend themselves. Just then, Sean appears, but he doesn't shoot at them. Moments later, Hamish also arrives while searching for them. Suddenly, they hear a gunshot from upstairs, and it becomes clear that the leprechaun has attacked Ian. Hamish tells Sean to keep an eye on the group and goes off to find Ian. A short distance away, he finds Ian in terrible condition. Ian warns Hamish to turn around, because the leprechaun is right behind him. Hamish manages to escape, but poor Ian is killed. Meanwhile, the 4 tourists make their way up from the basement, and Sean actually lets them go. They finally reach the road, but David is badly injured and can barely walk. Just then, a car approaches from the front, driven by an old woman. She quickly pulls them all into her car and takes them away from there. But soon enough, we find out that the old woman was actually working with Hamish all along. She hands the 4 of them over to him, and at gunpoint, Hamish ties them up to a tree. After that, he leaves the place with Sean and the old woman. Not long after, the leprechaun shows up and rips out the gold that was embedded in Jenny's tongue, tearing it apart badly. That's when we realize the monster has an obsession with gold. He had already ripped gold out of Jenny's ear earlier. Then the creature attacks David. He doesn't die, but he's badly injured. However, the attack loosens his ropes, and he uses that chance to free Jenny as well. Seeing this, the leprechaun jumps at David, but by then Jenny has already freed their other 2 friends. The 3 of them manage to escape, but instead of heading toward the stone, they return to the cabin. They've decided to take revenge for David. Sophie tells Jenny to hide on the roof, while she and Ben stand near the chimney with weapons, ready to attack the leprechaun as soon as it arrives. But the creature is far smarter than them. It throws Jenny down from the roof through the chimney, and in the confusion, the 2 of them mistakenly kill her with an axe, thinking she's the leprechaun. Just like that, they lose 2 of their friends, and Sophie completely breaks down. She then decides to head toward the stone with Ben. Outside, they spot Ian's car, but the keys are missing. Then they find Ian's dead body. Sophie goes to retrieve the car keys from his corpse, while Ben lights a flare to keep the leprechaun away. Still, the creature cleverly keeps advancing, forcing them to run into another cabin to save their lives. But the leprechaun follows them inside and brutally kills Ben by ripping out his spine. After that, it goes looking for Sophie, who is hiding in the attic. Just before it can kill her, Sean arrives and shoots at the leprechaun, giving Sophie a chance to escape. However, downstairs, Hamish stops her at gunpoint. At that moment, Sean comes down and points his gun at his own father, allowing Sophie to escape once again. As she runs, Hamish starts arguing with his son, shouting, Are you really going to shoot your own father over some stupid girl? But Cian pushes him into another room, calling him crazy. Suddenly, the leprechaun appears and kills Hamish. Watching his father die, Cian is completely shattered and breaks down in tears. Meanwhile, Sophie manages to start Ian's car and tries to escape the forest. But the leprechaun jumps onto the car, forcing her to slam the brakes and throw it off. When the car refuses to start again, Sophie gets out and runs on foot, with the creature chasing her. By now, morning has arrived. While running, Sophie reaches the same spot from the beginning of the movie, where Catherine's bag full of gold had fallen. Nearby lies Francois's sword. Sophie throws a few gold coins toward the monster, distracting it. Seizing the moment, she grabs the sword and decapitates the leprechaun. In the final scene, we see Sophie walking past the stone. She's the only survivor. And with that, the story comes to an end. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Also subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.